Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the GPVWC Supercup round here from absolutely stunning Mexico. Alongside me tonight is Joshua Jones, your Formula Challenge commentator, and it's going to be an absolutely storming 2 races tonight. Well, what have we got in store? We've got our normal feature race of 41 laps, and we've got our sprint race of 24. Now, if we're thinking this correctly, Army and Josh, we should, or we could, have the title wrapped up this round. Am I correct there, Josh?
Absolutely. So we've worked out that there's a 78 point, there's a 78 point difference for the lead. After this race here, there will be 125 points still up for grabs. And of course, it's 25 points for a win. So the maximum that the championship leader, Alex Siebel, can pull away from Dino Paolini in this race would be 103 points ahead, which means that he could wrap it up in the race after that, which means he can wrap it up in race 2 here this weekend. Race 1 will just be about trying to get as close to that as he can, but he can't quite mathematically wrap it up then. But of course, race 2 will be all at it.
Yep, exactly. And as I'm just trying to sort out some issues, it's going to be a great race. And obviously, as we haven't managed to, sadly, didn't manage to catch qualifying. Alex Siebel getting pole by, I think it was under 1/10 of a second, Josh.
It was
absolutely amazing.
In fact, the gap in the end was 0.013. So the gap for the pole position there, Alex Siebel over Dennis Jordan, less than 200 hundredths of a second. And if you think of that in terms of time, that's like the time it takes you to blink. I mean, there was no difference in their lap whatsoever, as near as makes pretty much known in grid position. And to be honest, third place Geoffrey Fournier was only another 100th of a second behind Jordan. So the top 3 separated by less than 300ths of a second, and that shows us that the rest of the pack is a lot closer to Siebel this weekend, or at the moment, than we expected them to be, and we could well get a good race here.
Yep, we could get a very good race indeed, and yep, it's looking good. We're just finishing the warm-up session, so the race is about to start soon. Josh will be able to help take you guys through the first lines on the timing. Josh will be there live at the race. And Josh, by the looks of things, unless my timing's glitched, is it raining or is it sunny there? Because my timing's showing they're all on wets.
Well, I'm looking out onto the track now. We're still in the warm-up session, so I'm not sure if it's raining or if it's going to rain in the race. It certainly hasn't started yet. I mean, the warm-up looks nice and dry, so I don't think so.
Yep, it looks like. Yep, so everybody make sure you grab your popcorn for what is going to be a brilliant 41 lap feature race. Now remember, in the 41 lap feature race here, they have to make a pit stop and use both dry tyres. So you'll see some guys starting on the harder compound, some guys starting on the softer compound, and they're going to try and mix their strategy up. And I think it'll be a 2-stop race here. These guys who start on the softs are going to use those hard tyres up for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 laps, as we have seen in Singapore, and then they'll come back in, hop on those soft tyres as quick as possible, and go to the end. Now, as we have now moved to the race, everyone's starting to line up on the grid. We'll be underway for the formation lap very shortly. And, well, Josh, for your first Supercup race, how are you feeling?
Yes, well, I've been called in very late to this, so I'm just getting used to to how the different liveries look and going through the championship standings and seeing who's quick and who's yet to prove themselves. But from what I've seen of qualifying, of course, I mean, it's close. You can tell it's very, very close. The top 9, that's all the way down to Due Tapper in 9th, are separated by less than a second. And when you see that, less than half a second separating the top 9. And when you see that, you know that this is a competitive grid. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm probably going to need a drink after the first race. I know that.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also just looking on the timing and seeing that Maciej Mojnek as well is in the TD Racing 43. So our most recent Formula Challenge Championship victor is going to be on the grid with us this week for this race. And we're now on the grid. So Josh, if you'd like to take us down the grid for over the formation lap and then get this race underway.
Indeed, so we're just heading down to the S's on the formation lap for this first race. We've got Alex Siebel leading them around there in the very appropriately numbered 44 car. Dennis Jordan is behind him and only a hundredth of a second behind him in terms of qualifying pace. Jeffrey Fournier, hot on their heels, watch for him at the start. Tobias Polotzek, sorry, whoops. Milan, there you go. Dino Paolini, Chris Shepherd, Wubke Hoekstra, Due Tapper, Stefan Roald, Gerard Batalla, Menno Klont, Jason Muscat, Maciej Mojnek, most recent Formula Challenge Championship, wrapped it up yesterday, of course. Rob Mason, Mark Fuller, Edouard Batalla, I presume related to Gerard Batalla, Dan Kell, and Matt Richards bringing up the rear of the field. So that's the 19-car formation as Siebel is now on the start grid. So I'm sure the formation lap always seems to go faster than an actual racing lap. But whatever the case, we're on the grid, preparing for 41 laps. Lights to flag. Let's hope it's a good one. Just looking to the back of the field as Matt Richards spins up his rear wheels, trying to get heat into all of his tyres. This is his last chance to do that before the race. The lights are coming on now. We've got 4 and 5. And they're out. So Alex Siebel leads us away. And it's a better start than Dennis Jordan. I'm sure I saw him get the jump there. But Jordan is right into his slipstream. We have a very, very long run down to turn 1. So this might help Dennis Jordan here, who pulls to the outside as we head down to the first corner. He will probably try and brake later. They bang wheels as they head down into the braking zone. And it is Alex Siebel that leads through there. So, Siebel leads into the first chicane. That was actually my first breath of the race there as Tobias Polotzek runs slightly wide on the exit of turn 3. We've got Bjorja Milan and Dino Paolini side by side for 5th place back there as Wubke Hoekstra is going side by side with Paolini now, the two teammates at it there in the mid-pack. And the gap for the lead is just 0.3 of a second, of course. And now look at Chris Shepherd coming past Dino Paolini, taking advantage of Paolini going wide in a battle with his teammate. Now, that team will not have wanted that because their two drivers, of course, were squabbling amongst themselves, and that wouldn't have affected the points as far as the team's championship were concerned, but it has now as Chris Shepherd has got between them. And that is not what a team boss wants to see, of course. Now watch Menno Klont coming under attack Dewey Tapper coming under attack from Menno Klont further behind. I think Klont actually touched Tapper in the rear slightly as they entered the arena section, but I believe we've had a clean first... Oh, well, as I say, we have a clean first lap. I look back through the field and I see Edouard Batalla without a front or rear wing, so obviously something's... Oh, and that looks like very severe suspension damage, I'm afraid. So Edouard Batalla might well be out of the race here as Matt Richards pits. Now, there is a mandatory pit stop in this race, so I wouldn't expect one to be pulled this early, but anyway, Matt Richards into the pits, and Batalla will be making his way back around. The gap has come out to 1 second, 1.3 seconds after the first lap, so Siebel, as we've seen him do several times already this year, is leading it away. Now, the battle for third's getting close as Tobias Polotzek looks to the outside of as Dennis Jordan... That's a battle for second, sorry. So Jordan has now got past Fournier. No, that was... Okay, so Fournier...
Yeah, that was Jordan getting past Fournier.
Yes,
you were
sorry.
right in the first place.
I'm getting completely confused. Yeah, so Jordan... I thought Jordan was ahead of Fournier. So obviously Fournier had got past Jordan in a place I hadn't seen, possibly at the start of the race. And now Jordan appears to have got back through. So
yeah, Batalla's finally made it back to the pits as well, so he's going to be able to get that car as repaired as he can do. The suspension damage that he's going to have on that car not going to bode him very well indeed. He might still end up out of this race, but obviously Richard's back on the circuit now, way behind Fuller, who's ahead of him. But well, almost a clean first lap. Thought we got away with it for once.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure what happened to Batella, but whatever the case, he's lost a lap in the pits. We're side by side for second. Dennis Jordan and Geoffrey Fournier. Fournier goes to the outside of turn 1, and he's been touched a bit slightly by Dennis Jordan there on the exit of the chicane. That's going to allow Tobias Polotzek to get in on the action as well, and he is going to go side by side with his teammate down into the hook section at the other side of the course. But Fournier is not going to give this up, and he forces his issue around the outside, regains that third position that it looked very much like he was going to lose. And the order is now Siebel, Jordan, Fournier, Polotzek, Shepard, Milan, Hoekstra, Paulini, Ruold and Tapper. That's the top 10, in fact. So
I was going to say Shepard, Milan and Hoekstra were going at it there throughout the seconds, throughout the end of the lap there, changing positions left, right and centre, all trying to make sure they could get past each other. But Jordan and Fournier going at it as well, as they're all coming across at the end of Sector 2 now. Only Jordan seeming to improve so far on his own best time, but these guys are all trying to keep themselves clean, trying to get to the end, especially for Siebel and Hoekstra and everyone else who are all trying to fight for that championship.
Absolutely, and in fact, talking of Hoekstra, he had to go defensive from Paulini down into the arena section, as did Paulini have to go defensive from Ruold. So it's all a battle of who can get to the inside and who can stop the other people from getting to the inside. Talking of that, Dennis Jordan has to defend the inside again down into turn 1, as Fournier tries the same move as he attempted last lap. Of course, if you try the same thing again, the chances are you're going to get the initial result again, and Fournier does not get through, but he's back into the slipstream. Again, has to go to the outside. Jordan is driving a very, very wide car as far as the inside is concerned, saying, you are not getting through there if I can help it. And indeed, Fournier did not get through there. Although I'll tell you what, the gap as they came through the last sector was almost nil, because they were pretty much side by side as they crossed the timing beam. But whatever the case, Jordan still defending from Fournier and still ahead for now. Of course, all of this battling has allowed them to drop behind Alex Siebel ever more so than they were before. And in fact, Siebel is now 4 seconds up the road after just 3 laps of racing. So 3 laps of racing done, 4 seconds up. That's a really impressive drive so far from Alex Siebel, as we're so used to seeing. In fact, his last time round was a 1:25.1, which was almost as quick as the qualifying laps. Now, Fournier is going to go to the outside of Jordan again down into turn 1. He's going to have him before the corner. So Fournier takes that position as we head down into turn 1. But will Jordan be able to dive back through? No, not there. So Fournier gets it for now. Fournier into second position. Of course, Fournier currently running 4th in the championship behind Dennis Jordan. Those two only separated by 10 points in terms of the championship. So this is quite significant in terms of the top order of the championship. Of course, none of these drivers challenging Siebel or Paulini for the lead of the championship, but still in their own battle and fighting hard at it, as we've seen so far this race. Although I'll tell you what, Dennis Jordan has already dropped about 6 tenths behind Geoffrey Fournier in that sector, and I believe that Tobias Polotzek just did about a tenth faster middle sector than either of them. So Dennis Jordan dropping back into the hands of his teammate at the moment. Of course, Polotzek actually got slightly wide over the curb there and almost spun up the rear wheels. But Jordan is back into the slipstream of Geoffrey Fournier, heading down into turn 1. He's going to try and pull exactly the same move that Fournier pulled on him a lap ago. He's going to do it. So they've swapped again. Dennis Jordan is second into turn 1. But will Fournier come back? No. So it was almost an exact replay of what we saw a lap ago. And it will be Dennis Jordan second into turn 1. Now, as we head through the hook and the hairpin at the top of the track, of course, this is not the part of the circuit that you usually see overtakes happening in. So they'll just be trying to keep with their opponents. Talking about Paolini's off. So Paolini, one of the biggest championship contenders, second place in the championship, has gone off down at the hook section. I didn't see what happened, but whatever the case, he's been running over the grass, and now I believe he was running in 7th or 8th position, and now he's dropped down to 14th. So that's going to be dramatic in terms of the championship. Paolini needed a result this weekend in order to keep it alive, and yet you can't afford to make too many mistakes like that. Again, I didn't see exactly what happened, but whatever the case, he's down into 14th position now, while his main championship rival, Alex Siebel, is running away in the lead. And now second place is going to change again as Fournier goes to the inside of Jordan down to turn 1. They're just swapping. Every lap they swap down that straight. And indeed, Fournier does get second. So it's happened again. And to be honest, I wouldn't be so surprised to see it happen for the entire race. Maciej Młynek had a brief look at Jason Muscat slightly further down the order. That's for 10th position. Meanwhile, Fournier and Jordan again. So Polocek again has caught right up to them. There's a spin. Who's that? That's Bjorn Milan. So Milan spun from 6th position, I believe, down at the hook. And another one round. Do a tapper into the wall.
God, so many guys making mistakes here today, which is unusual. These guys, usually really consistent drivers, are Boya, Milan and Do Tapper, both endurance drivers as well, so both very consistent usually. So unusual to see these guys make so many mistakes they are. And just looking at the timing still, Jeffrey Fournier with the fastest lap of the race by a couple of hundredths from Siebel at the moment, but just seeing Boya and Do make the mistakes, as Do is actually now down to 15th because, as you said, he was in the barrier. Boya only down to 8. As you were saying, Paolini 12th at the moment, so he's still going to score points. The top 15 score points, remember, but it's just hitting his championship hopes hard. 125 points on offer after this first race here at Mexico. And Jeffrey Fournier has gone faster again, a 1 minute 24.888. That is the fastest lap of the race. Siebel isn't the fastest at all anymore. He's 3rd fastest at the moment because Dennis Jordan is quicker.
Indeed, and for the first lap in 3, the battle for second place didn't change down the pit straight there. So Fournier has kept second place for now. He did have to go slightly defensive as Jordan had the important slipstream. And there's a big slide there from Fournier as he goes through the hairpin at the top of the track. I mean, you saw the tyre smoke coming off his rear tyres there as he just possibly was a bit too hot with the right foot coming out of the corner, but whatever the case, he's still running ahead of Jordan, and he doesn't appear to have allowed the gap to close at all there. So he just needs to be careful of that, because tyre wear will become an option in a race this long. There is a pit stop, of course, a mandatory pit stop that they will complete at some point in this event. But whatever the case, you can't afford to be making too many mistakes like that, because you only have 2 sets of tyres. Of course, even though you have a pit stop, you still have to conserve those tyres. You have more if you need them, but of course, the aim will be to only stop once. Can't imagine any other strategies coming into play in this series. But anyway, we've got a battle for 9th place now. Maciej Młynek has just passed Jason Muscat using the slipstream down into turn 1. So Młynek, of course, who knows this track well from the Formula Challenge race yesterday, actually won the championship here yesterday and claimed a podium in race 1, takes 9th position from Jason Muscat.
Would be surprised if you use the DRS down that straight either. Obviously, now we're on lap 9 now. DRS is quite active, and obviously the DRS in this series a small bit different to Super League. Instead of a rear flap being open, the rear wing actually closes, so it stalls it, but does somehow provide some extra speed there. But as you were saying, you can't afford to make those mistakes, especially when you're fighting for the championship. So you just need to make sure you're clean and consistent. And you were saying about there not maybe being more than one stop. I would actually beg to differ. I think there's going to be 2 stops coming in here, especially with how hard these guys are going to be having to push these tyres to keep consistent laps they're doing, and especially in traffic and fighting each other as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 2-stop race, maybe 1 single soft stint and 2 hards, or 1 hard and 2 soft stints. or maybe splitting them up a bit, but everyone coming across the line to start lap 10 now. It's a 4.1 second gap between Siebel and Fournier at the moment, with a 7/10 gap from Fournier to Jordan. Closest battle on track at the moment is between Darryl Tapper and Rob Mason. That's a 1/10 gap, and as I say that, Tapper has gotten past Mason, so that has now been a change for 14th at the moment. So not the final point, but it's an extra point nonetheless.
So the gap for second has come down again on that straight, as it always does, and indeed Fournier kicked out the rear end on the exit of the hairpin, as he did last lap. But he does seem to pull away in the S's, so I'm wondering whether Fournier is running a slightly higher downforce setup than Dennis Jordan, allowing Jordan to catch on the straights and then pulling away in the tighter sections. Although, then again, Jordan might well just be catching on the straights due to the slipstream. We saw Fournier pulling a move on Jordan earlier on in the same way, so interesting, but the gap appears to have been pretty stationary in the last few laps.
Yeah, those guys.
Sorry.
No, continue. Actually, you were going to say something interesting.
I was going to say that the gap for first and second has stayed pretty much exactly the same for the entire race past lap 3 as well, at 4.4 seconds and thereabouts. I mean, I remember saying it was 4.4 seconds at the end of lap 3. As Fournier again kicks out the rear end, I'm wondering whether his rear tyres are being used up a bit early, and he's actually going to come under attack from Dennis Jordan here down into the hook, because he just lost the momentum out of the chicane by having that slight wiggle, and indeed Fournier had to go slightly defensive. I get the picture that Jordan was only sort of having a half-hearted look just to show that he was there. Of course, that can often force your opponent into a mistake, so that's what he would have been trying to do there. But whatever the case, Fournier certainly would have had a little bit of a scare there.
Definitely, and just as we've got a bit of a tip off here from our lovely cameraman Argo, who's helping us out today. Usual Superliga cameraman, but just helping us out as we haven't managed to get. We had a pretty much last-minute shift around. Matej Moynak showed as Edgar Ruiz, so if you're wondering why Edgar Ruiz was somehow replacing Matej Moynak mid-race, that's why we must be having a timing issue at the moment. But as you were saying, Josh, the gap actually staying pretty solid all race. It's just because Siebel and Jeffrey are just so consistent to each other, always within a couple of tenths of each other each lap. And just saying that Jeffrey's last lap was a 1:25.85 and Siebel's was a 1:25.11. So not too much difference in the lap time wise, but a bit of difference there. As the closest battle on track at the moment is going to be between Tobias Polacek and Dennis Jordan. There's only 3 tenths in that, so the 5 per second could be gaining another car very shortly.
Absolutely, and in fact, it is a battle for second at the moment, as Jordan went to the inside of the hook section. They actually went side by side into the hairpin there, but Fournier has just about managed to keep the position. I didn't expect him to keep it there. It was certainly very close, but whatever the case, Jordan's best attempts weren't quite good enough this time round. Cracking racing though, as I believe we just had a slight mistake from Rob Mason, who... Oh no, that was just... Oh, yeah, we did. Oops. bit of a half spin coming out of the hairpin, although that wasn't the one I was talking about. I just sort of saw the order changing. I believe that was Menno Klont making his way back through after his incident earlier on. But anyway, as I said, the battle for second got very, very close earlier on in this lap, and indeed it looks as if it's going to get close again between all 3 of the challengers, as Fournier is going to the inside. Jordan is going to pull into the middle of the road. Will Polacek get involved as well? Yes, we're going almost 3 wide. In fact, we are going 3 wide. Fantastic, as Jordan goes to the inside. Polacek and Fournier gets demoted 2 places there. So Fournier down to 4th, Jordan up to 2nd, Polacek up to 3rd. Fournier is right back into Polacek's slipstream. That's it, tucked back in as quickly as you can. He's going to the outside. Luckily, Polacek sees him there, and Fournier has to back out of it just at the last second. Polacek braking slightly later. But whatever the case, the order there has completely switched as Jordan goes up to second and Polotczek third. But Polotczek's run wide on the exit of the hairpin, and that might allow Fournier to get through on the exit of the S's. Let's wait and see what he does with the slingshot effect here, because there is a short straight heading down into the arena section. You don't often see moves here, but it has been done. Not close enough this time round though. But absolute drama here on lap 12 as the three cars fighting over second place. Well, fight for second place.
That's absolutely amazing, just seeing them 3 wide down the start-finish straight. Just showing why these guys are as quick as they are. As I think Fournier will probably be trying to get past as far as Polotczek down the start-finish straight.
He is. Polotczek's in the middle of the road. Fournier is actually on the inside, so he's got the optimum position here. If he can just outbrake Polotczek. Oh no, Polotczek is braver on the brakes down into turn 1, and he keeps third place for now. And Fournier again kicks out the rear end on the exit of the chicane, but he's got right back into the slipstream. Polotczek nonetheless, no room on the inside, very nearly went onto the grass in avoidance, goes to the outside, which is going to turn into the inside. They bang wheels, kick of the rear end again for Fournier. They bang wheels again and again, 3 times a touch, as Fournier almost loses it on the exit of the hairpin, as we've seen him do I think 3 out of the last 4 laps, but Fournier somehow has muscled his way past Polotczek. That was scary. My goodness.
Not scary at all. These guys know what they're doing. They've been fighting each other for a long enough period of time now. And Jeffrey and Tobias, if you've got 2 guys that you've got to watch bang wheels against, those 2 are guys that you know will trust each other and know won't plough each other into the nearest.
I'm just watching it again with the... I'm just watching it again with the delay using the live stream, and it's just fantastic. I mean, I've never... You wouldn't get racing like that in if this was real life. I mean, they'd be a lot more cautious about it, surely. And to be honest, that's the great thing with sim racing. It's risk everything and don't worry about your team having to repair your car for the next race. And I really love that. Of course, you don't get quite the same excitement in terms of the adrenaline that you would get in reality. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling about that because they're side by side for second again. It's like they never stop being side by side. Fournier is going to brake far later down into the hook. I thought he was going to outbrake himself there, but he's outbraked Jordan. But Jordan is back down the inside into the hairpin. My goodness. Fournier, I was expecting to go to the inside there. I'm sort of surprised he didn't. But anyway, Jordan is back up into second place. I've lost track of who was where and when. Jordan second, Fournier third, Polotczek fourth, and a spin for Polotczek. Polotczek has gone round from 4th position. He stopped right in the middle of the track, almost gets collected by Mwinek, but he's got it going just in time not to be, and Polotczek is going to, after all of that, drop down into 11th position behind Dino Paolini. Oh dear. In fact, he's going to drop down to 12th here as Jason Muscat's going to go to his inside. No, he's just about kept that position. Sorry, I spoke over you there.
No, it's fine. I actually just been messaged by Stephen McCready, who's one of Matt Rich's friends, and he's apparently been suffering with some damage. I can't exactly see what it is at the moment, but I'll have a look. But I'd assume that there was some contact on that one, maybe with Batala, so that could be why Matt Rich's is so far down the order. But yes, just saying that. Sorry. No. No.
It's because of the delay on the commentary. I keep accidentally speaking over you. But anyway, yeah, we saw him pitting after lap 1. So, and we've had a change for second, actually. I believe that was going down into turn 1. Would have been using the slipstream. So Fournier is back up to second past Jordan. Of course, we've lost Polotczek from that battle, rather unfortunately. He's now running in 10th. So he's got back past Dino Paolini. And if anyone needs a result this weekend, it's Paolini, as I've already said. But anyway, Polotczek, who unfortunately lost from that battle due to his spin, and now it's just between Fournier and Jordan, but that's how it was before, and I mean, it was already exciting then, so still more to come, I expect.
Yeah, definitely indeed. And actually, just looking at the order at the moment, Chris Shepherd is currently in 4th. He's 1.5 seconds
Fournier's
back.
Lost. Oh, no, he hasn't, sorry. He very nearly did.
Fournier losing it? What are you on about?
Well, he was rather wiggly on the exit of the arena section, and to be honest, he did a bit of a slide that I know I wouldn't have saved if I was in his position, so that's why I shrieked. But to be honest, that might just be because I can't control a rear-wheel drive car. Anyway, sorry, I spoke over you again. Carry on.
No, I was about to say that Chris Shepherd actually could be one to look out for as well. That previous lap, he was about 2 tenths quicker than Dennis Jordan in front, as Fournier improves on his best time, but it's still not the fastest because that is actually belonging to Chris Shepherd at the moment. But these guys might be condensing themselves as we have a good few pits as Polacek, Moynick, Kell and Tapper all coming to the pits. So this will be for their first stops. This is lap 17 or end of lap 16, start of lap 17. So I think it's going to be a 2-stop race, everyone.
I'm afraid Due Tapper appears to be out of the race with suspension damage. So into the pits have come Polacek, Moynick and Kell. So the first of the seemingly scheduled pit stops, but unfortunately we've lost Due Tapper. I've just seen on the live stream actually that Maciej Moynick had a spin down at the S's, actually tagged the wall, so I'm wondering whether he pitted then just to check if he had any damage or something like that, or possibly he picked up some massive flat spots from the spin. That doesn't sound unlikely actually, so Moynick possibly having to adapt his strategy rather fast there in a way that he wasn't expecting to, but of course you have to be ready for that as a driver. I've just seen what happened to Tapper actually. It appears that is that in the S's as well? Looks like it. He had oh no, it's actually on the exit of the arena section. So it looks like he just overcooked it on the third kink of the arena section, the right-hander just after the hairpin, and to be honest, that's just a case of getting on the throttle too quickly. It's very, very easily done. To be honest, I have no idea how these drivers actually control these cars for an entire race, but for Tapper there, unfortunately, it just sort of let his rear end overtake him very suddenly.
Yeah, that is a shame. And also just a bit of a note, Dino Palladini up to 9th, so he's on that slow but sure recovery drive. So he could actually end up back in the title fight at the end of this race. And obviously he is already in the title fight, but we're looking at this realistically. And with the 125 points on offer, if Siebel can manage to get 125 points at the end of this weekend over Dino Palladini, he's going to win the title. So he'll wrap it up this weekend if he can get it in race 2 and keep Palladini a fair enough point behind. But we now have to keep looking down on the order at the moment, but no one really close together at the moment. Everyone's just sort of finding their rhythm and just finding the pace at the moment, which we all need to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and we've just seen Maciej Moynick pitting again, so obviously something not quite right with that car. I'm wondering why that would have happened, because and unless he had a spin on his outlap, because surely they repair everything that needs to be repaired in the pits in this simulator.
I don't think suspension damage is never repaired on RFX 2. I've known that from engineering in FSR. The one thing we've always gone, have we got suspension damage? And he goes, yes. And we go, right, pull the car in, we give up. We can't repair it. And it's near impossible to drive with suspension damage. I've tried it, and you'll end up about 10 seconds off the pace if you're not one of the most competent with suspension damage. But Alex Siebel just coming into the start of sector 3 now. The only couple of drivers improving on this lap at the moment, one being Dennis Jordan. Just looking down the order, just seeing who else is improving in that second sector at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you who's actually improved in terms of position, and that's Stefan Ruhr, who has actually just taken 5th place away from Łopke Hoekstra. That would have happened down into the arena section, I believe. So Ruhr on a charge. I believe he actually started the race down in about 10th position. It was 9th position. So Ruhr making his way back up the order. Although as I look at him now, he's going right defensive from Hoekstra, who might well be attempting to make his way back through. And indeed, he goes to the outside, outbrakes Ruhr, and through he goes. Also out of the race now, I believe, is Edward Batalla. Yeah. So Edward Batalla, of course, we saw having that accident on the first lap, or rather we didn't see having the accident on the first lap, but we saw that he had an accident on the first lap. and Ruel has Battala, sorry to startle any Ruel fans, but Battala unfortunately now has retired from the race, possibly as a result of the suspension damage. As he said, it's very, very difficult to drive with it. Possibly also because of a separate reason, as Hoekstra gets very, very wide in the S's there. Ruel caught up about 2/10 in that, so Ruel might well be able to attack on the home straight this lap. Possibly before that, actually. I was wondering whether he was going to use the slipstream down into the arena section, but we don't tend to see moves there. Anyway, so the battle for second is about to get heated again as Fournier pits. So Fournier, I believe, possibly reacting to Dennis Jordan in his mirrors and deciding that it was a better time to pit now than to allow him to get the slipstream again. But of course, as I said, this is a feature race, so you are required to pit anyway. Hoekstra is also in.
Sorry, and Battala as well. Actually, sorry, I was going to say those two guys, those three guys coming in as well. So they're all making their stops.
Menno Klont is in.
Oh, Klont is in as well. So these are all the guys. I think this was it lap 20. If they all started on the softs, they could go to the end potentially on the hards, unless they run the softs for a lap and then go the other 20 laps on the softs. And wait, why did I just say that? Unless they ditch the softs now, go on the hards for a lap, and then come back in and do the softs.
To be honest, that might well be what Macho Moinuk was doing, because we saw him pitting twice in the space of 2 laps earlier, and I was wondering why he'd do that, because even if he did have suspension damage from his incident, he wouldn't come in again, because of course you can't repair it, and you can't and of course you can't. I mean, he didn't retire, he went back out again, so I'm wondering whether he decided to run the softs for a lap just because you have to, and then go the whole of the rest of the race on the hard tyres. Is there any actual way to tell the tyres apart when you look at them? Because I can't see any difference.
There should be the line on the tyres, they should be. Usually what these guys will do is they'll run the soft tyres for the first 2 stints, and then they'll literally come in 1 lap before the end or 1 lap from the start and run the hards for a lap. So it has been done before. Siebel has done it, and all the other guys have done it. It's a winning strategy. Something that needs to be looked into for next season, admittedly. But it is a strategy that does work. So these guys usually run the softs for the first 2 stints, and then they come in and do the hards at the very end. It's very unusual that they'll do 1 lap in the middle stint because, well, there's too much time to be gained and too much time to be lost for them to start being idiots with strategy. And if whatever time they lose in that out lap and pit again is what they're going to lose, like at the end of the race. So there'll be, obviously for Josh and anyone who is new to Supercup, the tyres will have different sidewalls on them. So you'll be able to see easily which is the soft compound at the moment, and then whichever tyres are on next should be the hard compound. But these guys all just trying to make it clean and quick out of their boxes, and the only guys really within a second of each other at the moment is Polacek and Battala at the moment.
From what I can see from the onboard cameras, everyone seems to have. Oh no, there is a difference. I can see 1 car. I can see 1 car on the white rim tyre, which I presume is the harder compound. Or actually, it's probably the softer compound, and that's Edward Battala, who is out of the race. So everyone running at the moment is running on the yellow sidewall tyre, whichever one that one is. Paolini is into the pits, so...
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but obviously Paolini, Milan, the pits, they're coming in on the soft tyres, so the soft tyres being the yellow walled and the hard tyres, or the mediums being the white walled. We will get it right eventually.
Yeah, I'm very new to the series, so I presume that was it. A bit like the Formula 1 tyre compounds, but I wasn't quite sure. But anyway, so we just saw Paolini pitting as well as Milan, and of course Paolini is quite he's challenging for the championship. So of course he. Of course, he is someone to watch in this race. Anyway, it's getting close for... Oh no, that's a back marker. Ignore me. It is getting close for 6th place, though. this is Shepherd and Hoekstra I'm talking about. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
entirely. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that's 6th place overall because Siebel's in now, so Siebel and Jordan, the top
Jordan,
two,
yeah.
and
I wouldn't be
Roll.
surprised if Ruo and Muscat will probably pit into this lap as well. This will be those guys reacting. They don't want to stay out too long on those worn tyres because every single lap they stay out will be precious seconds they lose to the guys that have pitted. So Siebel will be interesting to see how far out ahead of everyone else Siebel is. Muscat up to 2nd now.
Muscat indeed did not pit, and he's got Siebel in his sights, which is probably quite a good feeling. But we actually locked up slightly there. You can see the effect of running on warm tyres.
Fournier's jumped Jordan as well, so Fournier up to 3rd, Jordan 4th. Hoekstra currently 5th, just waiting for my timing to update at the moment. But those guys who have stayed out might have lost out because obviously Jordan now being jumped by Jeffrey. What's that going to mean for the gap between Siebel and Fournier when Muscat pits?
Yes, well, the gap between Siebel and Fournier at the moment is 6 seconds, but I'm wondering if Fournier will use Muscat to his advantage in terms of the slipstream down the straights. I don't actually think there are many straights left in the lap, but if Muscat can somehow stay out for 1 lap longer, that would really help Fournier. I don't think that's quite what Muscat will be thinking of, though, because Fournier, of course, of no effect to him in terms of the actual race, because Muscat, of course, is yet to pit and Fournier has pitted, so Fournier is effectively much higher up the order. But it would probably help Fournier if... Oh, no, Muscat pulls in. So Muscat, as we expected, pulls into the pits this lap, and I believe he's the last person yet to pit, so...
Yep, I believe he is the last person yet to pit. Didn't see anyone else who hasn't pitted, apart from obviously everyone now has pitted, unless you don't count Doe and Edouard who haven't made a pit stop, but they are out. So Muscat, the only remaining driver to now make a pit stop that hadn't. He's dropping quite far down the order, now down to 10th, now down to 11th. Paolini up to 8th now, so that's another position gained by Paolini. He's 1.6 behind Boy and Milan, so 2 title contenders. One's out front by 6 seconds, and one's behind another driver by 1 second, but is behind the leader by 19.5.
Absolutely. The interesting thing I noticed about the battle for second is that initially, when Jordan came out of the pits, the gap was pretty much what it had been before they came into the pits, but the other way around. But it looks actually like Fournier's started to extend that gap now. The gap has come out to about 1.5 seconds when it was only about 0.6 of a second when they came out of the pits. Fournier again kicking out the rear end. We've seen him probably doing that more than any other driver. So what I said earlier about him possibly running more downforce, or higher downforce rather, than Jordan, might actually be the other way around. I'm wondering whether Fournier is running quite an aggressive setup on that car, because he does seem to be stepping out the rear end quite a lot, and of course that does probably, well, the actual aggressive setup probably helps in terms of individual lap times initially, but of course you have to be careful about tyres. I keep talking about tyres because they are a very serious subject in a feature race such as this. And I don't entirely know if I'd want to be sliding out the rear end as much as him.
But Jeffrey manages to find tyre preservation in that car. He's always been one to slide the rear of that car out, but still managed to somehow have amazing tyre life. So if you see him sliding, it's nothing to worry about.
Is he normally quite an aggressive driver in terms of actual driving style?
Of course he is. It's Jeffrey Fournier. He's very aggressive in his driving style. But it works out for him and it shows, and he is a very quick driver. He just doesn't exactly have the luck. And every single race we broadcast never seems to have the best of luck, and every race we don't broadcast he seems to do absolutely brilliantly in. So commentator's curse must be coming alive for him recently.
Absolutely.
But, it's Jordan that's 1.5 seconds behind him at the moment. And a lot of guys all just spread out. Batala is 0.5 second behind Polacek at the moment, and everyone else is all really spread out between each other, so that'll be our closest fight on circuit at the moment. Just waiting for my timing to update once more.
Yeah, but I think the most interesting battle for... Oh no, it isn't actually. I'll tell you what, it's actually even closer for 4th position between 3 cars. We've got Wopke Hoekstra, Chris Shepherd and Stefan Ruolt separated by a second. The 3 cars there for 4th place. And in fact, Shepherd's going to go to the outside of Hoekstra down into the hook section. Hoekstra runs him wide and Ruolt is going to get round the outside of him. Of course, not quite there. That was just him trying to slot through with him and not have to lift off unnecessarily. But those 3 got very, very close down into the sort of hook section at the top end of the track, and that is definitely our closest fight on circuit at the moment. And indeed, it's going to change again. No, it isn't. Yes, it might, as Chris Shepherd locks up going down into the arena section. And a big slide from Wopke Hoekstra. He's going to lose a lot of ground there and a lot of momentum. Shepherd's going to be right on his rear end as they head out of the final corner. And Shepherd is going to get right under the gearbox, although he appears to have actually dropped back from Hoekstra slightly there, and I believe that Ruolt is more likely to challenge him. All 3 of them are going to get the toe off each other here, and this is the bit I love the most about single-seater races, as we get 3 cars challenging using the slipstream down into turn 1, and it's Chris Shepherd that comes off the best there. So Shepherd moves up to 4th place on the inside of Wopke Hoekstra, and the order after the first pit stop stage, plus that sort out there. Actually, I shouldn't say yeah, because Ruolt's looking to the inside of Hoekstra, and indeed it looks as if he might get this. Oh, they bang wheels again, just as they did earlier in this race. Fantastic. Hoekstra is going to keep the inside for the hairpin, though. Indeed he does. So before it changes again, the top 10 order is Siebel, Fournier, Jordan, Shepherd, Hoekstra, Ruolt, Milan, Paolini, Polotsek, and Batalla. Gerard Batalla, that is. Edouard Batalla is out of the race, I'm afraid. But anyway, battle for 4th place is still on, but it's more like the battle for 5th place now, as Ruolt appears to be closer to Hoekstra than Hoekstra is to Shepherd. And this, of course, is where Hoekstra had that big slide last lap. No, I mean, he had a slight slide there this lap, but it wasn't quite to the same effect. And to be honest, that was just him being eager with the throttle, and maybe not even too eager with the throttle. It was just about right. Although let's see what Ruolt can do down into turn 1 here, and indeed what Hoekstra can do about Shepherd. I believe they've spread out a bit on this lap, I'm afraid, so they might just be biding their time and waiting for another opportunity for now, but or maybe not. I'll tell you what, Shepherd moved very aggressively over to the other side of the track there. I'm wondering whether he expects a tow from Hoekstra. Well, of course he does. I mean, Hoekstra was right in it there, more than I thought he would be. And as they head down into the S's now, all Hoekstra has to do is try to keep with Shepherd, and he might be able to have a go at him down into the arena section, although Shepherd does look very quick through this sector of the circuit. Of course, it's very difficult to stick with the car in front through the S's because of the added air turbulence caused by the downforce of the cars in front. You don't get that in touring cars or GT cars as much as you get in single-seaters, especially high downforce single-seaters like these GPVWC Supercup cars are. But on the straights, of course, the air of the car in front of you can definitely come in handy as the slipstream, which is basically where the air is thinner behind the car because of the car effectively punching a hole in the air in front, and that can allow an accordion effect, basically, as the cars use each other to do exactly what Hoekstra is doing now. As Hoekstra dives to the inside of Chris Shepherd down into turn 1, and Hoekstra moves into 4th position again. Of course, he had 4th position quite recently, but he has it again now, as Shepherd is right. He's under attack from Ruolt again, so Ruolt is going to have to go to the outside of the hook section. Indeed, that'll turn into the inside for the next corner, and there's actually slight contact there between Shepherd's front wing and Ruolt's rear left tyre, but whatever the case, Ruolt's got through there, so Chris Shepherd loses 2 positions in the space of 2 straights and a few corners extra. And that puts Hoekstra in 4th, Rult in 5th, and Shepherd in 6th. Unfortunately, that sort out does appear to have spread out the gaps a bit. Well, actually, the gap for 4th and 5th maybe, but the gap for 5th and 6th is still about half a second. So still
about half a second between 4th and 5th either way on my side. But obviously those guys going at it really hard and really just proving why they're so quick. You're calling the GPVWC Supercup cars high downforce. Oh, the Formula Renault drivers must love you then, Josh.
Quite possibly. I do love Formula Renault, actually. I mean, I remember going to the World Series Renault days and watching cars like these racing in reality. Great sounding cars in real life if you ever get the chance to hear them. But whatever the case, Battalla now is under attack from Muscat. So this is for the final point in the top 10. Not the final point of all, of course. They're going into 15th place. But Muscat darts to the inside of Battalla down into turn 1 and indeed gets that place, as we've seen so many other drivers doing down there. It's certainly the action spot of the weekend, so as far as overtakes go, because of the slipstream that takes place there. Now, as we head down into the... Oh, wow. Okay, big slide from Battalla there, actually, out of the chicane before the hairpin. And that's just dropped him back from Polotzek and Muscat up ahead. Muscat's actually a lot closer to Polotzek than he was before. So Polotzek, who of course was challenging with Jordan and Hoekstra for second... Well, Jordan and Fournier, rather, for second place in this race earlier on, has dropped back a bit. And the gap has actually come down for second place now. So it was about 1.5 seconds apart after the first lap out of the pits, but now it's down to less than a second again. So Dennis Jordan right on the back of Jeffrey Fournier again, and indeed the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th is back at it again as Shepherd goes to the inside of Roar trying to get it back. They clog wheels, but Shepherd manages to get the place very robustly, forced Roar to give way by force, but whatever the case, he's got through, and Muscat has passed Polotzek as well for 9th place. So Muscat up to 9th place and Polotzek down to 10th. I was rather looking forward to seeing Polotzek battling with Fournier and Jordan in the second half of the race earlier, but sadly his spin had to occur. Looking at the live stream, we have a message saying Josh is correct about the SC downforce, though they rival Super League lap times in tracks like Barcelona. So you can see the effect of the slipstream. That was from Risto Capit, by the way, a racer himself. So you can really see the effect of slipstream in races such as these when you have long straights, such as the straight you get the straights you get, rather, plural, at the start of this this circuit here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, as you're about to see demonstrated now, possibly by Jordan and Fournier. But on straights such as those, if you can tuck into the slipstream of the car ahead, it's like you can physically feel the difference when you pull out of the slipstream. It's quite amazing, actually. It's almost like being hit in the face by a sudden stream of air. Of course, you don't quite get that so much in Sims, but you certainly notice the difference in terms of top speed. I mean, there's nothing better than a good slipstream. I like oval racing for that reason, but in single-seater races such as these as well, on tracks such as these, certainly very effective indeed. And that's one of the main things contributing to us having such a good race so far today. Talking of so far today, sorry.
No, continue.
I was going to say, talking so far today, it's actually coming quite close to the end of the race now. We're into the last 10 laps, still with Siebel leading it by 8 seconds from Jeffrey Fournier and Dennis Jordan. Anyway, you were going to speak.
I was going to say, Aristo, knowing what he's talking about, being the Vobble Super League driver, just saying, yeah, these cars do very much rival Super League lap times, and I have seen that myself, seen that a lot of times on the servers, especially tracks like Barcelona. Well, I've seen pictures of the Barcelona live races at the time, But these guys really showing how quick they are. 124.6 is the fastest lap for Siebel at the moment, and only a few hundredths actually slower than, I think it's Woopke who's got the fastest lap. I'm just looking down the order at the moment, and yes, Woopke's got the fastest lap at the moment. So that Measure It car coming in handy, but Paolini now up to 7th as well in the number 16 Measure It, so he's doing a really decent job himself. But as you said, just at the end of the race now, some of these guys have got to make their final pit stops.
I'll tell you what, it's getting very close for second place as Geoffrey Fournier again kicks out the rear end at the hairpin. Jordan got very close to him down into turn 1 on this lap, and I was just looking at the fastest lap of the race. It is indeed by Wopke Hoekstra, and that is a 124.610, which I couldn't do with 10 weeks of training. As Dan Kell is back into the pits now, so Kell probably going for a two-stop strategy there. But whatever the case, I'm interested to see what happens in the battle for second here as we join onto the pit straight, because Jordan got very, very close to Fournier in the last lap. He's been reeling him in and reeling him in. He gained 4 tenths in the last 2 laps. So Jordan is right on the back of Fournier now, and indeed he's right alongside Fournier now as he goes to the inside. There's nothing Fournier can do about it. Jordan was just too close. Fournier to the to third place, Jordan to second. Chris Shepherd is now up to 4th as well, so he has passed Wopke Hoekstra. And it's all change at the front of the order, except for right at the front of the order with Alex Siebel, who has led it from the word go. And by quite a significant margin as well. I mean, he's out to 9 tenths ahead. And Shepherd and Hoekstra are side by side down in the chicane, and the hairpin rather. And Hoekstra has the inside line, but if Shepherd can just keep the momentum out of that corner, he'll have the inside for the S's. Nope, it's Wopke who has the line through there. So Wopke Hoekstra back up into 4th position, but surely not for long. That's a battle that just never ceases, and long may it continue. And indeed, it looks as if it is going to continue, possibly earlier than I thought. It's not. We don't even have to wait until the start finish straight, as it looks. I thought they were actually going to have an attempt down into the arena, but no one pulls a move there unless you're an absolute racing genius. But whatever the case, here comes the slipstream. Let's see quite how the order changes on this lap. It's actually going to change. Yeah, for second. So Fournier goes to the inside of Jordan. Shepherd goes to the inside of Hoekstra. You don't know where to look. Fournier second, Jordan third, Shepherd 4th, and then it's Hoekstra and Rod. So that's the order after that recent session of slipstreaming. And in fact, Jordan had an attempt at heading back past Fournier down into the hook. And indeed, Rod is going to do the same to Hoekstra. Nope, not quite. So too far back for now. Although I tell you what, you never know where or when or who from the next move is going to appear out of in this in a race like this. I mean, where do you look? Absolutely brilliant.
I think you look everywhere is where you look. Josh, you just look everywhere and hope you've got enough eyes to see everything.
Brilliant. Yes, yeah, you probably do need to be some sort of alien to watch this race effectively. Preferably with eyes in the back of your head, and in the side, and in the other side, and on the top. And to be honest, I really wish I was that sometimes, but unfortunately I'm not, as Jordan gets right back into the slipstream of Geoffrey Fournier, heading down into turn 1. What will he be able to do this lap? He's going to go to the outside line. He's got him before the corner again. That's the effect of the slipstream. Of course, these cars pretty much exactly the same, except for on setup. But you just saw the difference in top speed between Jordan and Fournier. That's the slipstream for you. And behind them, I believe, Hoekstra has kept 4th place for now. So they're actually coming into a little bit of traffic here as well. That'll be Dan Kell, who actually runs. Yeah, he's rather nicely getting out of the way of them using the escape road. Fournier actually had a bit of a kick of oversteer, trying to just take a little look at Jordan down into the hairpin there, but. He's got away with it for now. Menno Klont is also back into the pits. So Klont going for a second stop there. He's now on the harder compound by the looks of it. Ooh.
Yeah, everyone will be coming in for their second stops now to go to the end on the hards. Obviously, as I said earlier, those guys coming in for another set on the soft tyres because they obviously want to run those soft tyres for the first 2 stints, don't want to lose that much time. So they'll come in, run the soft stints, then come in right at the death to run those tyres for as short a period as possible. So Fuller, Count and Klont all now on the on the harder tyres now. And I'd like to apologise to Whoopie because for this whole stream, well, for us on both this whole stream, but for myself on I think I can't remember if I did Circuit the Americas now, and for Nürburgring, pronouncing the name on was Whoopie Hoekstra. Hoekstra, yes.
Sorry about that.
We'll get it eventually, and sorry Whoopie. It's taken us 3/4 of the season.
Right, well, we've just actually had another change for second place, although this time, well, I don't know why I'm saying although this time, it was the same as before, slipstream and 3 he goes before the corner again. They just keep on swapping. To be honest, it's so difficult to actually work out who's going to be ahead at the flag, because they just swap every lap. You'd have to work out how many laps there are left in the race. Oh, well, okay, we're on lap 37 at the moment, so on lap 38 rather. So if you include next lap, we've got 39, 40 and 40. So 3 laps to do it, which would mean Jordan would overtake Fournier, then Fournier would overtake Jordan, then Jordan. So it would be Jordan second and Fournier third. Well, of course, racing is never won on paper, so let's see what happens. There's half a second in it going onto the straight. That is absolutely going to disappear. Watch this. As Jordan gets right into the slipstream of Fournier, as he does every lap. He's not going to be close enough this time round, though. So the second I say something is going to happen, it doesn't. And Fournier keeps the position for this lap as Tobias Polotzek pits again. So he's coming in for his second stop of the race. Now Fournier and Jordan again very close as we head down into the hook section towards the top end of the circuit as you look at it on a map. Of course, this is the part of the circuit where you very rarely see any sort of overtaking unless there's a big mistake from the driver in front, which there hasn't been so far in the race. I don't want to put commentator's curse on anyone. Hopefully, because I'm a relatively new commentator, it hasn't really developed yet.
It'll happen. It'll still happen. It doesn't matter how experienced or how new you are, it will happen. And you have cursed them all. Well done.
I expect so, yeah. So sorry if I have, but whatever the case. Anyway, that did happen earlier in this year, actually. It was in the 2017 Monaco Grand Prix. I was watching it with my mum, and I said, surprisingly few incidents so far this race, and then 3 people crashed within the space of 10 laps, and you think, oh... But anyway, Jordan back into the slipstream and Jeffrey Fournier back to the inside as we head down into turn 1, and he's got it again. So Jordan up to second as Dino Paolini pits. So Paolini in for his second stop and hopefully his last stop of the race unless something goes dramatically wrong. So into the pits comes one of our championship guys.
Yeah, the rest of the guys will come in this lap because it's lap 40, so they'll come in with 1 lap to go. As I called it at the start of the race, they'll come in with 1 lap to go. So you're going to see a flurry of pit stops between Siebel, Jordan, Fournier, Shepard, Hoekstra, Rouault, Milan. Fournier. Was Fournier ahead of Jordan, or was Jordan ahead of Fournier? I thought I saw them.
Well, they actually just swapped going down into the S's, so I expect that Fournier made a mistake up at the hairpin. But whatever the case, Jordan has actually just got ahead of Fournier down into the S's. Now, I didn't see it live, but I'd be interested to see that back on the replay. I'm going to keep one eye on each screen. But anyway, Jordan is ahead as we head down into the arena section. And as you said, yep, Alex Siebel into the pit. So this will be to go onto the harder compound tyre, which you do have to run at least once in the race. I actually just looked at the replay slightly too late, so I'm going to rewind it and see. just what did happen. Oh, it looks like they were actually side by side going down into
Jordan
the.
Fournier in, Shepherd in, Hoekstra in, Rouault
Yeah, sorry, I'm
in,
looking in completely the wrong
in.
place here. Yeah,
Wait
so
and
it's
see who else
Siebel,
comes
Jordan, Hoekstra, Fournier, Milan, Rouault, Shepherd, Muscat. Paolini pitted last lap, so let's see where he comes through. So Siebel is out of the pit ahead of Jordan and Fournier. So Jordan has kept ahead of Fournier this time.
Hoekstra
fourth. Milan
Milan.
fifth.
Paolini up to
Paolini
sixth.
up to fifth. So he's undercut about 3 cars there. Fantastic. Paolini absolutely gaining out of that. And as for
Paolini has saved his title fight. This title fight, as long as Paolini doesn't retire from now, Paolini's going to be taking this title fight to Brazil. So this is going to be very close indeed.
As for the battle for second, it was actually Jordan ahead before the move down into the S's. What actually happened was that Fournier attempted to move on Jordan, and I just saw the kind of flicker of the lifetime screen. You see, I can't even keep up with who's ahead in that battle, but whatever the case, Jordan just about kept it. Rob Nason is in for his last stop, but the important bit here is that Alex Siebel is going to come through the final 2 corners, and he is going to take another win in this championship and get so close to his championship challenge. I expect he could probably still mathematically win it in the next race. Siebel wins it then from Fournier and Jordan and Hoekstra, who is going to come in 4th place. So Fournier got ahead of Jordan on the last lap. He was behind. So Fournier has actually pipped Jordan right at the end of the race. I don't know quite how that happened. Paolini finishes 5th and keeps his championship alive. Milan 6th, Shepherd 7th, Rouault 8th, Muscat 9th, Polotzek 10th, only just, Batalla 11th. Mwenik is just coming through the arena section. Dan Kell, who is a lap down, has already taken the last point in 15th place. But here we see Mwenik coming through for 12th. There he goes. So Menno Klont is going to be 13th, and it's going to be Rob Mason in 14th. And 15th, 16th, and 17th have already finished the lap down. They are Dan Kell, Matt Richards, and Mark Fuller bringing up the field, with, of course, 2 retirements in Batalla and Tapper, rather.
Oh, God, don't go there. We had that at Super League Coda where we managed to mix the names up.
Did we?
No, absolutely great.
Sorry.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was thinking of Duncan Tappy, the GT driver, but anyway.
It's the first time I've heard his name for a few years, actually, Duncan Tappy.
Oh, he's been doing very well in the International GT Open. Anyway, Klont finishes 13th, Mason finishes 14th. That's what's just happened on track. So, a very entertaining first race. I mean, you could never predict who was going to get second place. In fact, I think I initially called the wrong person finishing second over the line, because Fournier just pipped Jordan at the last moment, and I still don't know how that happened. I'm actually going to rewind the stream quickly to see if I can find it. It's very difficult to actually spot where to look in a race like that, and you do often end up missing quite big things. I expect Fournier probably got past Jordan as Siebel was crossing the line, so how was I supposed to spot that?
But no, just to prove a point, Josh, Siebel would have needed to win both races for Paolini to be very low down the points, or to not score at all for the championship to be his. So Paolini finishing 5th automatically takes the title fight to Brazil.
Jolly good. So the championship's going to stay alive. I've actually found the footage on the last lap of the move for second. So here's Fournier again in the slipstream with Jordan. We've seen the slipstream. I mean, it's been the word I've said the most, more than "and" in this race. He went to the outside into the hook section. Of course, that turns into the inside for the second part. Slight contact actually, and Jordan was forced to run wide, but it all looked relatively clean. And of course, Fournier had the inside for the hairpin. So Fournier got that place on the final lap of the race. And well, what drama?
Wouldn't be GPVWC Supercup would add a bit of drama in it. Whether it's racing drama or whether it's drama. But absolutely great driving by everyone to just get through that race, and especially with the how action-packed it was. And well done, Dino, keeping that title fight alive.
Good. So again, running through the order, it was Alex G4, Dennis Jordan, Wopke Extra, Dino, Championship Alive, Bjorja Milan, Chris Shepherd, Stefan Rio, Jason Muscat, Thomas Polotz after his spin earlier on, very unfortunate, Gerard Batalla, Maciej Winek, Menno Klont, Rob Mason, Dan Kell, Matt Richards, Mark Fuller, and then we had 2 retirements in Edward Batalla, losing it in the S's, I believe, and Due Tapper going off in on the exit of the arena section. So that's not it for this weekend. Of course, we've still got another race to come very, very shortly. So don't go anywhere. Again, I'm being reminded that Hoekstra's name is actually pronounced as Hoekstra. So sorry for that. Again, I'm just getting used to these names, but that's my fault. Wopke Hoekstra. I'll get used to saying that eventually. Wopke Hoekstra. Got it. I say I've got it, but I'm going to get it wrong initially. I mean, immediately. I know I am. Looking through the YouTube chat, Risto Cabot says, "Do a tappy." Yes, that's what I tried to call him by accident. Apparently my maths was right. That's a good sign. I presume that means my maths towards how the championship played out. And Argo Tida writes that his first name is said more like Wupke, so Wupke Hoekstra, not Wopke Hoekstra. Okay, I will get that. Right, now time for another. Actually, I believe I'm lagging a bit. Is there another qualifying session before this next race? Are you still there? Actually, I think we might have lost. I think we might have lost Elise. Okay, apparently there isn't another qualifying session. Sorry, my screen's just loaded up with a qualifying session, so I'm a bit confused. But anyway, apparently that's not what's going to happen. I presume it's a reverse grid draw now.
Yep, it will be a random reverse grid, so we just have to wait for our loving race director, Chris Williamson, who, not to be confused with Chris Anderson, who is Joshua Anderson and Chris Williamson's love child from Super League America. But, sorry, I can't stop laughing at that being there live when it happened. But obviously, waiting for that reverse grid. Josh, if you just give me a shout when it's come through. But obviously, this is now the sprint race. So this is going to be a 21-lap sprint race, and everyone's basically going to be running the soft tyres. They might have to be a bit more careful because it's a bit more of a high-wear track, but everyone's going to be able to use those soft tyres as much as they want, and they're going to be racing flat out for the whole race distance, and hopefully we'll get some sort of indication what the race draw is in the near future once Chris does draw it.
So this is a 5-minute... Oh, it's 6. So Bjorja Milan will be on pole for this reverse grid race. So it will be Milan on pole. I'm just trying to remember the order. Is it?
It will be Milan. I think.
Shepherd or Hoekstra next.
Give me 30 seconds and I will have a look.
Okay, it'll be one of those two, I reckon. Shepherd or Hoekstra, unless I'm very much mistaken, of course.
Right, here we go. So the reverse grid will be, and you said top 6 or top 5?
6.
Top 6, that'll be Boya Milan on pole from Dino Paolini from Hoekstra, from Jordan, Fournier, Siebel. Then the rest of it would be Shepherd, Rouault, Muscat, Polacek, Batalla, Gerard Batalla, Maciej Moinek, Menno Klont, Rob Mason, Dan Kell, Matt Richards, Mark Fuller, and Edward Batalla, and Dao Tapper. So that'll be your grid for second race here at the Australian Hermanos Rodriguez. So hopefully it's hopefully it's as brilliant as the last one with a bit less retirements. But actually, I hopped in to have a chat with a couple of guys, and Paul Mason got apparently got hit by one of the other drivers on the track, so that's why his race didn't exactly go to plan.
I wouldn't be surprised, of course, if that was Edward Battalla, but that's just a speculation because, of course, I didn't see it. It's just that those two drivers appeared to be the ones with damage after lap 1. So I don't know what happened there, and I'm not trying to judge an incident because I didn't see it, but just out of speculation, that could have been what happened. Anyway, we have about 3 minutes until the start of this race. We're just seeing a brief warm-up session. This is pretty much the last chance the drivers get to see the track before the next session. So, of course, this will be their chance to run the fuel setting that they're going to run in the race, and the setup that they're going to run in the second race, and so forth, just to see how that would feel on a racetrack in anger.
Oh, actually, I got that wrong. After this race, obviously 100 points left in the title fight, I forgot that we have a second race. So the gap is 92 points, according to our race director, Chris Williamson, and our standings guru. So Siebel needs 8 points. If Siebel scores 8 points,
8 points more,
Dino Paolini's championship is over.
Well, it would have to be 8 points more than Paolini rather than just 8 points, but...
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah. Siebel has to outscore Paolini by 8 points to win the title, so we could be crowning our final career level champion races early. We've done it. We confirmed the Super League champion in America with Rudy Van Buren taking the victory, or taking the title for Vodball. We've announced the Formula Challenge champion, that was Mateusz Moynick, as Josh did yesterday. And there is an absolute possibility that we could be crowning a Supercup champion here. So indeed, I'm going to go be a stupid idiot and have a look at what the point scoring system is again, because I'm an idiot.
There's a bit of an echo actually, but yeah, I've just been doing some Joshua Jones mathematics, and that means that if Siebel was to win this race and Paolini was to finish third, then the championship would be over, which shows that this is definitely a very big possibility. And to be honest, I really wouldn't be surprised to see the championship being decided in this race, actually. So a definite potential championship decider. If Siebel finishes second, he'll need Paolini to finish 5th to claim the title this round. If Siebel finishes 3rd, he will need Paolini to finish 9th. If Siebel finishes 4th, he needs Paolini to finish 12th. No, 11th. Sorry. So that means 3rd is actually 8th. Yeah. So yeah. If Siebel was to finish 11th, no, sorry, 11th after 4th, 5th, which is 11 points, which is why I was getting confused. He would need Paolini to finish 13th. If he was to finish 6th, he would need Paolini to finish 14th. And if he was to finish 7th, he would need Paolini to finish 15th. And he could still win it with 8th if Paolini wasn't to score points. So that's the possibility in this race. So Siebel could technically win the championship here with 8th position. That's quite good odds for Siebel, actually.
He could, but with the fact that Dino's starting second on the grid,
yes,
second.
It all depends what Paolini does here. To be honest, I'm very much looking forward to the moment, if it happens, that Paolini gets caught by Siebel, because this will, I'm sure there will be a ferocious battle as Paolini tries desperately to keep Siebel behind, seeing his championship flashing before his eyes. And to be honest, that kind of battle is the best kind, the kind where the drivers have a real reason to fight for it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that if it happens. So we've got a 24-lap race ahead of us, which is about just over half the distance of the race you just saw. So this one's going to go by in an absolute flash, with Bjorja Milan I think, starting from pole position. We're just seeing them lining up on the grid now, so they actually only have 5 more seconds. So there we go. Yeah, looks like everyone's ready now. So the formation lap can start now. There we go. So going through the grid order again, we've got Bjorja Milan on pole, followed by Dino Paolini, Wopke Hoekstra, Dennis Jordan, Jeffrey Fournier, Alex Siebel, Chris Shepherd, Stefan Ruhl, Jason Muscat, Tobias Polotzek, Gerard Batalla, Maciej Winnick, Menno Klont, Rob Mason, Dan Kell, Matt Richards, Mark Fuller, Edouard Batalla, and Due Tapper. So that is the grid for this next race. Watch for Due Tapper at the start here, because of course Tapper is much better than his grid position indicates, and we saw him running in the midfield of the last race until he had his accident. So watch for him at the start, trying to make his way through the order. But they're just making their way round the top of the circuit now, round the hairpin, where we've seen quite a few people get a bit too early in the last race. I believe Tapper actually did that once before his retirement and actually spun it into the wall there. So it's a dangerous acceleration zone, going from quite a slow speed to quite a high speed. Of course, it's not quite as slow as the hairpin in the arena section, but of course the straight is longer, so you have more chance to make a mess of it, I suppose. Or not in the case of in the case of how you're supposed to do it, but yeah. You can see the drivers just weaving about there to warm their tyres before the race start. This is the last chance they get to do that, of course. They only get 1 lap before the start of the race, before they have to see it in anger, and before they have to deliver. Milan now is on the start grid, so he's going to be lining up at the front of the order here. Of course, finished 6th in the last race and is now on pole due to the reverse grid draw. I'm watching Due Tapper at the back of the field. He will line up in his box now. So if you watch the lights, they're going to come on in a second, and when they go off again, we will be underway. We've got 3, 4, 5, and now none! Off we go! So Bjorja Milan leads away at the start of this race as Dino Paolini dips straight into his slipstream. That's what they want to do. They're side by side for 4th, further behind, but watch the lead here as Paolini and Hoekstra are right in the slipstream. Paolini is going to go to the outside. There's a big crash down behind! Flying car as they headed down the start-finish straight. That'll be Edouard Batalla. No, it won't. He made it through. That was Tobias Polotzek, I'm afraid. And Wopke Hoekstra leads the race. So Wopke Hoekstra leads the race down into turn 1 from Bjorja Milan, Dino Paolini, Dennis Jordan, Jeffrey Fournier, Siebel and Shepherd, followed by Batalla, Klont and Winnick. But it's Hoekstra that leads it through the hairpin for the first time. About half a lap completed now. Unfortunately, it was not a clean start. Tobias Polotzek, sorry. I don't know why I keep saying his name's Thomas. Is unfortunately out of this race early on. Of course, we saw him absolutely flying at the back of the field there, and not in the positive way that I've talked about in the past. The gap for the lead now as we head into the arena for the first time is just half a second. Watch for Milan hoping for a re-attack as they head onto the start-finish straight for the second time in this race now. using the all-important slipstream that we saw so much of in race 1. The gap's actually 0.7 of a second, but I estimate that you probably get slipstream as far back as 2 seconds behind. And in fact, Hoekstra knows that, and he is blocking the inside line, just trying to break the toe. Of course, that wasn't I suppose that wasn't really classed as a move of defence. He was just trying to break the toe, and just stop Milan from getting that slipstream for even a split second longer. Now, I believe everyone's made it cleanly through turn 1 for the second time of asking. Of course, we have lost Tobias Polocek from the order already, unfortunately, but this second lap appears to be cleaner so far. We've got Tapper and Mason side by side for 11th, and Tapper indeed does get that. I told you to look for Tapper coming from the back at the start. He's already up to 11th place here. But I tell you what, the gap for the leads come right back down again as Jordan and Fournier are side by side again, just as they were for the entire race 1. And Siebel is getting in on that as well. So Jordan and Fournier went side by side through the start of the S's there. Fournier ran slightly wider. Now Siebel is going to get right onto the rear end, and he's not going to want to be on the rear end for too long, of course. Siebel needs to get up through the order. Of course, could win the championship in this race if he scores 8 more points than Dino Paolini. Now, watch the lead here. It's come down to 0.6 of a second on this lap. So Milan's last lap was 1/10 of a second faster than Hoekstra's. Hoekstra went defensive on the last lap. He's going defensive again, and let's see what Milan does on this time of asking. It's almost a repeat of last lap, with Hoekstra diving to the inside, then to the outside, just to try and break the toe. And indeed, it is still Hoekstra who leads down into Hoekstra. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. Down into turn 1. Jordan and Fournier again battling. Fournier has got up into 4th position, but Jordan is going down the inside into the hook. Although Fournier just leaves his braking slightly later there, and it is going to be Fournier who keeps 4th place there. Again, kicks out the rear end, as we saw him doing so many times in race 1. And the order after 1.5 laps is Hoekstra, Milan, Paolini, Fournier, Jordan, Siebel, Shepard, Battala, Winnick, Clont, Tapper, Battala, Richards, Mason, Kell, Fuller, Muscat, Rualt and Polocek, with Rualt and Polocek now being out of the race. So Rualt, we didn't see how he retired, but unfortunately he does appear to be out of this race prematurely. I'm afraid he is. Now watch Milan as they get into the slipstream again this lap, because actually I saw a bit of tyre smoke from Hoekstra as they exited the final corner there, so I expect Hoekstra possibly lost a bit of momentum. Indeed he did. There's less than half a second in it. This is for the lead of the race. Watch Milan as he's going to probably challenge into turn 1 here. Hoekstra goes defensive into turn 1. He dives to the inside again. Milan's going to go around the outside. This will be brilliant if it works. He's going to have the inside into the first chicane. Hoekstra keeps the outside and keeps the drive, but Milan's going to keep alongside him on the other side now. He's used the switchback, although that's going to be the outside for the first corner of the next chicane. Fantastic battle for the lead of the race. Will he go around the outside here? It's going to turn into the inside, and indeed Milan is going to take the lead of the race as we head down into the hairpin. And indeed Milan, who started on the pole position after the reverse grid draw, takes the lead back again, and it's Milan from Hoekstra from Paolini. My goodness, fantastic. I've got adrenaline running right the way through me after that. That was a fantastic, and I wasn't even doing it, but still, that was a fantastic battle there for the lead of the race. And now we have the top 3 within a second of each other. So Paolini has really been catching this bunch as well, and he has been using his teammate's toe to get with this group. The whole remaining field now is still separated by just 21 seconds, which shows that it's been. Which shows just how competitive this field is. Now watch the slipstream as they head down into turn 1 again. Hoekstra is going to get right back in it. He's going to look to the outside again. This is for the lead, but Milan moves over right as he's entitled to do, and keeps the position for now. Fantastic from Hoekstra there, or from Milan rather. Brilliant defence. And Hoekstra is going to have to try something else, I expect. takes a little bit too much out of his rears in the second chicane of the track there. You can just see the tyre smoke billowing as he goes through there, but I tell you what, he's caught up to within half a second of the leader here. So the battle for the lead is well and truly on. In fact, they might well go side by side down into the arena section here. Let's see what they do. No, Hoekstra is not going to be quite close enough this time round. He's going to at least get the toe, but it's not going to pull him anywhere close enough to challenge this time round. But down into turn 1, who knows? We've seen people challenging there the whole race. The whole weekend, rather, if you can call it a weekend. More like a Wednesday night than a weekend, rather. But you get exactly what I mean. As Hoekstra gets into the slipstream again. Now we saw Milan going defensive to the outside as Hoekstra was trying to go there last lap. Let's see if the same thing has to happen again this lap. Hoekstra is certainly getting closer, but not close enough, and it is still Milan who keeps the lead so far. Further back, we are actually side by side for 12th here with Battella and Richards, and Edouard Battella is going to go around the outside of Matt Richards there into turn 1, and he does indeed get the place for 12th there. Of course, 12th is still in the points. You get 12th down to 15th place, but Matt Richards is right back in his slipstream. Is going to go to the inside down into the hook section. But I tell you what, it's back on for 3rd as Paolini has come under attack from Hoekstra, and they make contact. Paolini's going to go round, and the championship contender Dino Paolini rather dramatically goes into the barrier, and he's going to drop right through the order, and that might well give the championship to Alex Siebel. I'm going to work out because Siebel is running 5th at the moment, so I'm going to work out quickly where he would need Paolini to finish. Paolini would need to finish 13th. Oh, so if they finish like this, Alex Siebel would claim the championship. What drama we have just witnessed on the 6th lap of the GPVWC Supercup Championship round from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Dino Paolini nosed it into the wall, and he's actually going to come under attack from Dankel here. I'm going to spectate this battle here rather than the battle for the lead, which I know is also getting close, but simply because it could have a big effect on the championship. Kell is going to go to the inside of Paolini. He's got it! He's got it on the straight! This is disastrous for Paolini, as Paolini, who has already dropped out of championship contention position, has dropped down to 14th place. And now it's getting really close for 3rd position as well, as Jordan's got past Fournier. Siebel's right in it, of course. Siebel possibly doesn't... Actually, he would have seen Paolini spinning there. So Siebel surely knows he just needs to keep his nose clean, and he'll be declared champion this race so long as Paolini doesn't make his way back up into 12th position. But whatever the case, absolute drama in terms of the actual championship. It just looked like Paolini and Hoekstra went side by side into the S's last lap, possibly, maybe not giving each other enough room. I'm not here to be the race steward, but whatever happened, there was contact between the two. It looked as if they were both going to go around. It was Paolini who went around in the end, unfortunately for him, but he's getting right back into the slipstream. Oh no, that's okay. So Hoekstra now. This is for the lead. So Hoekstra is right back in the slipstream of Milan. Probably pulled it to about a 10th off in that straight there as they headed down to turn 1. But of course the concertina effect has spread them apart again on the next straight, as Paolini has indeed made his way back past Dankel. So Paolini is just 1 position now outside of championship contending position. So Dino Paolini now 13th position. Oh, as Dankel gets a big wiggle over the outside curb on the exit of the chicane there. But that means, as Battella, Clont and Richards battle up ahead, that if Paolini makes 1 more position, possibly as a result of any contact that might occur from the Battella, Clont, Richards battle, Paolini could move back into championship winning position here. But let's face it, Alex Siebel is just 2/10 off Dennis Jordan, and if Siebel does manage to pull another move, that would pull the championship contending position further away from Dino Paolini. to be honest, they just need to push. Both of the championship contenders, possibly less so with Alex Siebel, because of course he still has more rounds to try to keep it alive. But with Dino Paolini, it's now or never. So he needs to challenge now or never, as I said, as Fournier goes to the outside of Jordan. This is for third position overall in the race. It looks as if Jordan is going to keep that for now, though. Whoa! Fournier gets very, very sideways on the exit, and that might allow Siebel to challenge, actually. So let's see what happens down into the hook section.
I'd like to quickly bring up a point as I'm now here. Stéphane Rouault, the reason for his retirement was this screen went to desktop, and I think in that he took out, or he had contact with Tobias Polacek and Jason Muscat, so that'd be the reason for Tobias retiring and Rouault retiring.
Oh, that would have been the opening incident. It certainly looked like an odd place to have one, but that's hugely disappointing. Of course, anyone who's raced on a simulator will know the feeling of accidentally pressing the Windows button or some kind of glitch happening and it just going back by itself, and you know that there's nothing you can do about it. You have to restart the game, and that unfortunately appears to have claimed the race of two drivers. So big shame for those two. Not really either of their faults, but yeah, as I said, big shame. Anyway, the gap for the lead is still at less than a second. I don't believe it's actually gone to over a second for the entire race. It swapped hands twice as Hoekstra took it, took it, and then Milan took it back again. But it hasn't come out to over a second all race. That has been a constant battle up ahead, and it hasn't been rare to see them right under each other's gearboxes. Although they've both been driving masterclasses in defence up there. Half a second. It's not even been something like 9/10 in it or something like that. It's always been half a second, 4/10 of a second, 7/10 of a second. It's been right there, up and down and up and down. And you have to wonder why they haven't been swapping positions more. Again, I suppose it's just been because they've been driving such brilliant defence. But I mean, it's certainly making the race tense. Possibly a bit hard for me because it's actually very hard to look away from the leaders just in case something happens. Just an update on Dino Paolini. He has caught now to within a second of Matt Richards. So if he can get past Richards, and well, providing that Siebel doesn't pull a move on Geoffrey Fournier, then he will be back into championship contention.
Well,
for now.
I have the DRS down that straight, so I doubt he'll lose any time at that, but he will have to obviously keep gaining that time. But it'll be very close between those two indeed.
But I tell you what, it might all come to nothing because Alex Siebel is side by side with Dennis Jordan here. Jordan has just been passed by Geoffrey Fournier down into turn 1, but Siebel has to settle for 5th place for now. Someone dips a wheel into the grass. I think that was Dennis Jordan there. And now Siebel is going to go to the outside into the hook. He's got it. So Siebel up to 4th place. And Paolini's target is moving ever further away here. In fact, 4th place would give Siebel 13 points rather, which would mean that to keep the championship alive, Paolini would now need to finish 11th. So he needs to pass Matt Richards and Menno Clont here to be in contention for the title. And of course, Menno Clont, I believe, is Alex Siebel's teammate, so Clont's certainly not going to make it easy for Paolini, is he? Gap for the lead still at half a second here, down into the arena section. Although, to be honest, it's usually at about 7/10 of a second through there, so it'll be interesting to see what Hoekstra can do down the start-finish straight here. 4/10 of a second now. Surely he's going to attack down into turn 1. Again, the lead of the race is looking like it might well change as we head down into turn 1. Hoekstra is going to go to the inside line, almost dips 2 wheels onto the grass there, and Hoekstra takes the lead down into turn 1. And it's all changed for 3rd, as well as Siebel's going to go for it. Siebel moves up to 3rd place. Shepherd moves up to 5th past Jordan. Fantastic. Although Shepherd and Jordan are still at it. Oh, actually, Shepherd's gone wide on the exit of the chicane there. So Jordan almost got a chance to challenge again. Actually, I think Shepard might have gained out of that. He has to be careful not to do that.
All this is doing is just making Dino Paolini's job harder, harder, harder and harder.
Absolutely.
So Dino really needs to put the power down now if he wants any chance of getting that title back.
Paolini now needs to finish 8th if he wants to keep bring the title back, so long as Siebel keeps his position. So he needs to pass Matt Richards, Menno Klont, Edward Battala, Due Tapper and Gerard Battala. So, to be honest, that is a big, big ask for Dino Paolini with 12 laps of the race remaining thereabouts.
This is where someone does a Nelson Piquet, except into the side of Alex Siebel.
Ooh, let's hope not.
Let's hope not, but this is what could happen, you know.
Well, you never know with motorsport. As Murray Walker very famously said, anything can happen in motorsport, and usually does. As Siebel going defensive from quite a distance over Fournier there. I suppose every little helps when it comes to breaking the toe of the car behind, but surely he was a bit too far away for Fournier to actually get much of a toe there. Talking of the toe, Milan has just used the toe to get within half a second of Hoekstra again, as he kicks out the rears going through the first corner of the second chicane. So expect Milan possibly to challenge on the pit straight of the next lap. Let's see what he can do there. Of course, this section of the track is the section which is pretty much single file. You just have to sort of try to stick with the car ahead if you can, and see what you can do in terms of getting the better run on the car ahead into the next straight. Looking up through the order, we've got still the battle for 4th in hot contention with Fournier, Shepard, Jordan, and I suppose a bit further behind is Macho Winnick, but he's not quite there yet. Fournier and Siebel. I believe Siebel's going defensive again, as is Shepard from Jordan. And Hoekstra, sorry, and Milan aren't that far apart either, so it might all kick off very shortly. I think the closest here are Jordan and Shepard. In fact, Jordan's just got past Shepard, actually. So Jordan up into 5th position, down into turn 1. Shepard down into 6th. And the gap, or the order now is Hoekstra, Milan, Siebel, Fournier, Jordan, Shepard, Winnick, Battala, Tapper, not Tappy, Klont, Battala, Richards, Paolini, Mason, Kell, Muscat, and Fuller.
Oh, actually, as you say that, Klont, at the moment in 10th place, has a very close fight. He's got 3 cars behind him at the moment as they come up through the top end of the circuit, now going to make their way towards the S's. Klont a bit wide, so here comes Battala in the Multiforce GP car. Not the Multiforce GP car, sorry, I get that back. I take that back, I got the cars wrong.
And the one at the back of this chain is Dino Paolini, so this could be the
Klont's gone wide. Klont's gone wide. Oh, not Klont, sorry. Oh, three wide! Into the stadium.
Oh, and Klont's going to have to run very, very wide off the circuit, in fact. And it looks as if Paolini is not quite going to be able to challenge yet, of course. Very tight section of the track, but that's almost all changed there.
Now this is going to allow these guys to have DRS on Battala, so that's why Battala is now going to be moving to the inside. The DRS comes on now. So these guys are going to be having to move.
Very, very difficult to actually spot when these cars are using DRS.
They're giving no one any room as they're going to be too wide around the outside. Matt Richards.
Slight contact.
Oh, he's going to try and hold it.
Oh my goodness. I was sort of expecting a secondary impact there as they went through the second chicane, but very clean racing as Matt Richards and Menno Klont are going to go side by side down into the hook, but Richards not satisfied with just defending from Klont. He wants to attack Battala as well. Look at that.
Here's Paolini.
It's like a staggered grid, and the leaders are at it. I believe they just went side by side into the S's, or just out of the S's. There, they were very close indeed.
Yeah, no, they're still pretty far apart from each other at the moment. A half a second gap at the moment. But those two guys really going at it, and Tapper, Batala and Moynek almost having a go at it as well. So fights up and down the grid at the moment.
Oh, look at this.
These guys all coming onto the grid now to start the next lap. Lap 16.
Oh, watch the lead, watch the lead. Hoekstra is going to the inside. Milan's going to go to the outside. Surely it's going to change here. Even before the braking zone, Milan takes the lead down into turn 1. And it's changed again.
As well, Jordan clean around the outside of Shepard there. And
fantastic.
Fight still going on. Is Rich is going to have the slipstream on Batala? Not at the moment, but Batala's going to go defensive. So Batala defensive, Richards to the outside. And he's got him. He's got him around the outside of turn 1.
Due Tapper had a slight off at turn 1 as well. He ran slightly wide on the exit. The leaders very nearly went side by side through the hairpin there. That's not a usual place to overtake, but Hoekstra sees the timer ticking down. There's less than 10 laps remaining now, so he will be chancing anything he has in this late stage in the race now.
Jeffrey Fournier is pretty close to Siebel as well. It's about it's about half a second gap, but it's getting ever closer. Edward Batala's out as well.
Yes, unfortunately, we've just had another retirement. Edward Batala
up to 12. Paolini's one other place up, so slowly but surely making his way up the order where he needs to be, but he's not got long left to do it. He's going to have to hope for retirements from now.
Oh, watch the leaders. We've got... What, sorry?
I said, here comes Wookie Hoekstra.
Indeed,
to the inside.
They're side by side. Hoekstra's going to break Milan. So he's going to do exactly what Milan did to him a lap ago. And Hoekstra takes the lead. That's the 5th lead change in this race. And all between those two.
Paolini versus Clont. Paolini versus Clont. This is for 10th. Oh, sorry, for 11th. Sorry.
And this is dramatic in terms of the championship because 11th, of course, it is not where Paolini needs to be to win the championship, but at least it's closer than 12th. And he was 13th a minute ago, so that's changed again. And Paolini is now coming back under attack from Menno Clont on the exit, although Clont preferably needs to be right in the slipstream at this point. Pulled out a bit too early, as far as I'm concerned there. But whatever the case, I expect the leaders are probably going to change again next lap. All of this is allowing Alex Siebel onto the back of them. He's now less than...
Jeffrey Fournier is allowing the whole of the top 4 to be very, very close on the back of them.
Siebel and Fournier are now less than half a second behind Hoekstra. So that means that we could potentially have 4 for the lead down into turn 1 this time. Let's see how this plays out. This is going to be very interesting indeed. This is the closest that Siebel and Fournier have been all race, apart from on the first lap to the leaders. Siebel is more likely to challenge Milan than Milan is to Hoekstra. So let's see what happens here down into turn 1.
Here we go. He's going to go to the inside. Milan's going to make it in.
No.
Nope.
Has to back out of it there. Wasn't quite close enough, but I'm quite surprised actually. Milan, it goes wide.
Paolini's having a go at Richards. Paolini versus Richards into turn 1. This is crucial for the championship, remember.
Siebel is up to second now.
This has made it worse.
Paolini
makes an overtake and so does Siebel. It's not working out for Paolini.
This is just the ladder climb of the champions, isn't it? Absolutely. I mean, I'm just doing some more maths again. Paolini now, oh my goodness, he needs to finish 4th. So Paolini, unless something dramatic happens up ahead of him, probably to Alex Siebel. Talking of Siebel, he's actually challenging the leader down into the arena here. But unless something dramatic happens to Alex Siebel, Siebel will be claimed our Supercup champion of 2017 today. It looked to be such a good opportunity for Paolini, starting second on the reverse grid until he had that spin after his collision with Hoekstra at the start of this race. And now look at Hoekstra coming under attack from Siebel. This is for the lead. If Siebel throws it all away now, that could play right back into the hands of Paolini. I very much hope that he doesn't. He's going to go to the inside. Siebel takes the lead. Alex Siebel, who is our champion-elect, I suppose, takes the lead of this race past Wopke Hoekstra. Now look at Bjorn Milan, who's going to have the slipstream on Hoekstra. Is probably going to know. Yeah, he's going to go to the inside into the hook section. Although that'll turn into the outside for the second pass.
Richards has got Paolini.
Fournier is going to go to the inside of third place.
Richards has got Paolini.
Paolini drops another place. This is terrible for Paolini as Fournier passes Milan for third place. So I believe that the podium now looks completely different to the way it looked a lap ago. We've got Siebel leading it from Hoekstra, Fournier, Milan and Jordan. And Siebel's already pulled out a gap of 1.5 seconds. My goodness. Now, Paolini is down to 11th place, of course. With Siebel winning this, Paolini will need to finish third. So Paolini would need to pass Fournier, Milan, Jordan, Shepard, Winnick, Batalla, Tapper and Richards in the opposite order to be champion. To be honest, it would take a miracle now or a terrible turn of fate from Alex Siebel for Dino Paolini to keep the championship alive in this weekend. And again, I'm risking a lot by saying that. I hope my commentator's curse hasn't developed yet. But Hoekstra and Fournier now, again, half a second apart. And indeed, Tapper and Batalla are going side by side down into turn 1. That's for 8th position. And
Fournier
Tapper
versus Hoekstra. Fournier on the outside.
Ooh, not there. Hoekstra keeps it on the inside. Fournier is going to try and get the switch back. Doesn't quite get down the inside of the hairpin like he was quite obviously attempting to do by getting the better run out of the chicane there, but hasn't worked this time around as wide in the background runs Milan. And Siebel has already built out a lead of almost 2 seconds. This is a masterclass from Siebel, as we're so used to seeing. Slight lockup from Hoekstra as they head down into the arena section. Very few laps remaining now. This is the 20th lap out of 24. So, for Paolini, currently running in 11th, he needs, as I keep saying, a miracle. He has set a very quick fastest lap though. That was his lap just a lap ago actually, with a 1:24.513. That's faster than the race 1 fastest lap, and well, it's not quite the fastest lap so far today. Yeah, and Fournier has indeed passed Hoekstra. I was too busy looking at the live timing to actually see where that happened. But anyway, Fournier goes to the outside. This is Milan and Hoekstra. So Hoekstra goes to the inside, but Milan goes to the outside and manages to use the chicane to his advantage. Milan is back up into a podium position.
Dennis Jordan now getting involved in this lot as well. So Dennis Jordan going, I want a piece of this, let me have some.
Fantastic. Anyway, Siebel has built up a dramatic lead now of over 2 seconds in the 3 laps or so that he's been leading this. So you can see just how much of a dominant driver Alex Siebel is in this championship, proving once again that he is indeed the greatest. As we have a big slide there from Bjorn Milan heading out of the arena section, and that almost allowed Hoekstra through at the final corner. But he's going to get right into the slipstream again. He's going to go to the inside of turn 1. He's probably going to have Milan before the corner with the help of the added top speed, although Milan probably does have some slight slipstream from Fournier. In fact, Milan
Dennis Jordan having a go as well
for now, as Jordan goes to the inside of him as well. So Jordan attacking for 4th. Milan's going to have the inside for the chicane, and Milan keeps it. I was going to say, Milan was probably best actually letting Hoekstra go there to get immediately back into his slipstream. But, of course, with Jordan right behind him, that wasn't going to work. It was attack or be attacked in that situation. Or both, as the case turned out to be. As Shepard gets very squirrely in the background now. So him make about 3 direction changes where he was trying to make 1. So 3 retirements so far this race. That means that we have 16 cars remaining, which means if we have 1 more, then all finishers will score points, which would be quite beneficial for the drivers further back in the order. We've got Rob Mason currently just outside of the points. as Fournier locks up slightly into the arena section. Now, as they head on to the start-finish straight for the penultimate time, I think it's the penultimate time anyway, unless I'm very much mistaken. Yeah, this will be the penultimate time. So onto the start-finish straight for the penultimate time comes Alex Siebel, followed by Jeffrey Fournier and Wopke Hoekstra. Hoekstra still within a second of Fournier, so he certainly hasn't given up on that battle yet. He's keeping his claws in. In fact, he's really caught up in that sector, as most drivers do on each other, using the slipstream down there. Very slipstreamy track. Slipstreamy is now an adjective, according to me. Tapper and Batalla are very close for 8th. Although the battle I'm really focusing on is the one for 2nd, which has been the close one ever since the start of the race. Now we're just about to head on to the final lap of the race. Siebel is in the final sector now, so we're about to see him exit the final corner for the penultimate time. All he has to do is bring it home through one more lap, and not only will he win this race, but he will also win the championship, providing Dino Paolini does not make up 7 positions in this final lap. To be honest, I don't think
it'd be a miracle if he did.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think even Alex Siebel on a good day could make up. Yeah, I don't think even Dino Paolini or Alex Siebel on a good day could make up 7 positions on the last lap, as Fournier has actually passed Hoekstra and Milan and Jordan side by side for 4th. What, sorry?
Yeah, and Batalla and Tapper are going side by side for 8th place. So
indeed, Tapper's got that.
If Siebel could drop down a few places, the title fight could come back. But
ooh, big lock up from Fournier as Hoekstra goes to the outside. Hoekstra almost got driven off the circuit on the outside of the hook there, but Fournier keeps ahead for now. Hoekstra only has one more real chance to do it now, and that's down into the arena section. And we very rarely see overtakes there because it's very hard to keep into to keep following the car ahead due to the.
But as you said, it was the final lap, Josh.
Indeed. So
and
Alex
everything
Siebel
today has been about Alex Siebel. He will come across the line to win not only the 2nd race here at Mexico, but also the title.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Jordan's gotten Hoekstra for 3rd across the line.
My goodness, what was the gap there? That was about... it's less than 1/10 of a second, I'll tell you that. That was close. And there is Paolini coming home in 10th position. He gave it his all, but sadly his all was not good enough this season. And Paolini is 2nd in the championship, but cannot mathematically catch 1st. So Paolini crosses the line in 10th. Of course, Paolini hasn't actually won a race yet this year. He's just 2nd through consistency. Very, very consistent driver, I should point out. So as you said, Siebel won this race and also the championship in doing so, barring any late penalties. We're about to see him do some donuts, I reckon. There he goes. Celebrate with the champion. Fantastic. 2nd place was Jeffrey Fournier in that race. Dennis Jordan, well, he did one donut. Dennis Jordan was 3rd. Wopke Hoekstra 4th. Shepard 5th. Winnick 6th. Oh, good result from Winnick, actually. Milan 7th. Tapper 8th. Batalla 9th. Paolini 10th. Richards 11th. Clont 12th. Muscat 13th. Kell 14th. Fuller 15th, Mason 16th, so Mason just miss out on the point as Fuller gets the last one. And the 3 retirements were Eduard Batalla, Stefan Ruhl, and Tobias Polocek.
Wow, what an amazing 2 races we have had here today at Mexico. Hopefully we'll be joined by some of the drivers in a minute for interviews. Hopefully they decide to come up. We probably will be joined by Alex Siebel if he decides to come and join us. But wow, 2 races and well, 2 races of absolute action and amazement, and a new champion to crown in GPVWC.
Indeed, and I just congratulated the wrong driver.
Who did you congratulate?
Well, I'm so used to saying Mache after races. I said, well done to our champion Mache. Oh, wait.
It's easily done. Easily done.
Oh, dear. Well done to our champion Alex Siebel, who has just won the Supercup Championship, barring any penalties, which I very much hope
they won't affect
yeah.
the results unless he somehow gets a disqualification or a time penalty, which I doubt will happen. He was driving cleanly the whole race. I doubt he'll have any issues, so he will be our very, very, very deserved champion, and I think he proved that he's quick enough in all series, and especially in Supercup, Super League, like he did back in Singapore, and then again in Austin. See if he's going to bother racing, and see if he's going to race tomorrow in Super League.
Well, Alex Siebel, fantastic season. I mean, looking at his results, I wasn't here for the entire season, but I mean, I'll read out his results here. He wasn't here for the first 2 rounds. Then it was win, 7th DNF, 6th, 5th, win, DNF, not DNS, win, 3rd, win, 5th, win, 5th, 3rd, win, 3rd, win, 5th, win, 3rd, and then win. So, yeah. Fantastic. Won both of the races that I just witnessed there, and to be honest, I don't think I saw him put a foot wrong. I don't think I've ever seen him put a foot wrong. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. You just can't fault Alex Siebel.
Well, we are now going to be joined by Whoopke Hoekstra, who just about missed out on that podium. Whoopke, for a start, we're both sorry that we kept pronouncing your name wrong. We've finally been told. And, well, what an amazing 2 races today, and what an amazing finish to race 2, even though it wasn't the podium that you were probably looking for.
Yeah, the races were amazing. I think they were easily one of the best battles I had all season on this track. It was just insane. I think it was pretty much the same last year, but then we had different downforce packages, and this time everyone was on the same downforce package. So, yeah, it was fun. Of course, the DRS helped a lot to keep everyone close, because when people were nearly a second behind me, and at the end of the straight, they would be right behind me. They would be very big in the mirror. So, yeah, kind of tough to get away, but yeah, it was fun.
It's just of that second race, especially. We thought you got that podium summed up, and then suddenly I just looked to 3rd place, and then just suddenly see that Dennis Jordan is about a millisecond above you. So, what happened? What happened in that final lap that made you lose the podium?
The tires were completely destroyed because of some other issues, and I just had pretty high wear compared to the other guys, I think. So when I came into the stadium, I tried to brake for the hairpin. Small hairpin, and I lost the car. Luckily, I could keep it together, and I thought I still had 3rd position, but then in the last corner again, the car just stepped out again. The rear was sliding all over the place, and I was lucky to keep it out of the barrier. So I'm happy to take P4 because Chris Shepard was also there to take that from me.
Josh, have you got any questions for Whoopke?
I have to ask. I didn't quite see properly, but what happened with Dino Paolini in race 2?
After the race, he came to me. Well, he talked to me, and he said that he had some collision with Geoffrey Fournier. So I'm not sure what exactly happened, but probably something when Geoffrey tried to pass him, and they came into contact, and he lost the car. So that's a shame for him.
Oh, Fournier! I thought it was you. Sorry about that. Okay.
No, I wouldn't be that close to my teammate. If we battle, we always stay away from each other.
Well, you always try and stay away from each other unless it's the Nürburgring round, which I remember doing, where you were at each other's throats for both of the races and that on track, and it was absolutely brilliant. But again, absolutely amazing race. Sadly, you didn't get the podium you wanted, but still amazing racing from you guys, from you nonetheless.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it. So I can live with 2 times P4.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're now going to be joined by a Jeffrey Fournier. We're now going to be joined, as I said, by Jeffrey Fournier and Chris Shepherd. Sorry if we interrupted you during your convo, gents. But obviously, guys, Jeffrey, we'll start off with you because what a second race there. Sorry, absolutely brilliant driving to climb up the order.
Yeah, it was a great track, I think, providing some good battles. It's probably the one that I enjoyed the most this season. And yeah, I knew that Hans Siebel would get past me. The win was over, but he helped me a lot to close the gap on Wopke and Borja. So still happy with 2 second place. I had an incident with Dino Paolini. Well, I didn't watch what happened, so for the moment I won't say anything, but yeah, sorry for that if it's my fault.
I was unlucky because we were wondering what had happened to Dino, obviously Dino and both of you, because obviously all we saw was Dino suddenly dropping down the order. But obviously we'll go back to race 1 as well, where I spoke to you after the race, but just going back to race 1, you said to me you had the pace to be with Alex that whole race, but it just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, well, maybe it was a bit more quicker, but I was not bad compared to last few runs where I was a tenth slower lap. But yeah, we fight very hard with Dennis Jordan and Polocek, and he went in and he went away, and nothing we could do to close the gap. So the gap was done.
Josh?
Yeah, well, we saw you battling with Jordan for pretty much race 2 and race 1. I mean, you were completely inseparable from him. Surely it's quite irritating, though, when you've just passed someone and then the next lap they're right back in your mirrors and right back alongside you. I mean...
yeah. It was quite exciting to fight Jordan because he's third in the driver's standing and I am 4th. So
yeah,
it was an immediate battle for 3rd place in SC standing. So, but yeah, it was good. Aggressive, but fair. I like it.
Good.
Brilliant. Anything else at all, Josh?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Sorry.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We'll now move on to another man who likes to talk with Jeffrey during the races, Chris Shepherd, who was driving for Cosmo today. Chris,
hello.
It was so close to a podium there.
Yeah, it was. It was a good race. It was 2 great races, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't had that much fun in races for quite some time, to be honest with you. Good driving from everyone. No real dramas, to be honest with you. Just only making passes when the passes are certain. Yeah, brilliant from everyone.
I was going to say, because both of those races, I was just seeing your name going up and up and up and up, and then in the second race, finally being able to watch live there, just seeing you trying to hound down those guys for a podium, and then nearly getting your chance at the final corner there when Wookie was being passed by Dennis. It must have been just like, come on, one more lap and I could have done it. Yeah,
definitely. It's that second race. I dropped a bit out of the out of the DRS. I had to push, and I was pushing too hard. My rear tyres were a lot worse in the second race than they was after the first stint, because it's roughly about the same distance, 20 laps, 24 laps. But yeah, just you can rag these cars about, but again, it's no good for the rear tyres. As Whoopke found when he lost it, and he controlled it great, but then at the next corner, his tyres were still roasting, and he nearly lost it again. But yeah, what an epic finish.
Yeah, Josh, have you got any questions or anything to say to Chris?
Well, again, we saw you in the mid pack, especially in race 2, or rather, right up the front of it. I don't know. I suppose just Sorry, I've really been put on the spot here.
Don't worry, man.
Poor Josh. Cool.
It was a great race.
Yeah.
It was a great race. That's all I can say. Really fun.
Sorry. Why does your car have to look so much like the car in front at all times? I mean, I could never pick you out. It didn't matter who you were running behind. It was just Whatever.
No idea. You can blame.
Yeah, you can blame Josh Anderson on that one.
Right, all his fault.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Anyway, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey and Chris, for hopping up into the broadcast. And now we're going to be joined by Joshua Jones's 2017 GPVWC Supercup champion, Maciej Mojnek. Welcome, Maciej. Well done for winning the title, according to Josh.
Thank you.
He didn't. I made it up. That was a joke. He did.
But no, absolutely. Obviously, another 2 sets of what could have been far better races, but just today wasn't the day, and you had some decent finishes, but it could have been a lot higher.
Yeah, I will start from the beginning. In quali, I was just too cautious with not cutting, and I lost my confidence. That's why I ended up in P14. And in race 1, I had good race until my spin. It was totally my fault. That's why I'm very sad on myself. That's why I'm very sad. And from that, it was only a try to gain as much as it was possible. But it looks like it helped me to finish in 12, because at the start of race 2, someone lagged and someone else went airborne. And if I will be like in the 10th place, I could be the one who would go into the air. So maybe I should be happy with that 12th place in race 1. After start to race 2, I was having a good fight with Gerard Batalla, and also Doe Tapper was trying to overtake him, but he couldn't do it because I also had DRS. When I overtook Batalla, I tried just to pull away from him and maybe try to catch the cars in front, but they were just too quick for me. But 7th place is still good, less than 10 seconds to race winner, so I can take it.
Fantastic. And I don't know if you've already been asked this season, but how much does the FC car differ from this car, and how good is it to get the training in other disciplines of single-seater simulator racing, as well as your main focus?
I think these cars are easier than FC, just because they have more downforce, so they are easier to keep on the track. And about training, to be honest, I started training today at 7 p.m. my time, because Bor had give me his setup, and I just started driving with race fuel on server with 1 hour to go, and that was on my whole training.
Fantastic, thanks for that.
Yeah, and anything else? Anyone? Well, Josh, you would like to ask or say to Maciej? Apart from the fact that you wish him everything, and well done for winning the title this year and in Supercup, apparently.
In Supercup? Well,
maybe next year.
Maybe next year, yeah.
Oh, anyone who didn't see that or didn't hear, Josh basically put in the text chat he was going to congratulate Maciej on winning the.
Yes, sorry for that. I'm so used to typing your name because I'm usually with the Formula Challenge, of course, that I automatically just type Maciej. So yeah, well done for winning that race from 6th. So right. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming to join us, Maciej, and hopefully we'll see you around maybe for the rest. How many races are the next end of the season are you doing? Are you staying for the rest?
I'm staying until the end.
That's brilliant. So we'll get to see you in many more Supercup races to come. Thank you, everyone, for coming to have a chat with us today. So thank you very much. Obviously, thank you very much to Wipke Hoekstra, Jeffrey Fournier, Chris Shepard, and Maciej Mojnek for coming to chat to us today. Thank you so much, Joshua, for stepping in about 5 minutes before the start of the broadcast to come and help us out today. It absolutely is amazing, the work that you'll come and do, especially since you weren't even planned to be on today.
Yeah, that's no problem. It was my pleasure. I mean, this was actually the first Supercup race. Oh no, the second Supercup race that I'd seen. So I felt really underprepared for it. So I actually have to thank you for teaching me the basics with about 5 minutes to go. But yeah, it was very enjoyable, and I'm very glad I could have done it.
Yeah, and I'd like to also thank Argo Tida, who is obviously normally our Super League cameraman, but has joined us today on last-minute basis again to come and help us out, like he did back in Singapore when me and Casper were on commentary. So thank you again, Argo. I know you won't speak on podcast, but thank you, mate. But, well, that is the end of the Super Cup round here from Mexico. Next time out, we go even further south in the world. We go to Brazil for what is going to be 2 more impressive races in Super Cup. But if you want to come see more action from the Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez here, please join myself and Joshua Anderson tomorrow, where we will cover Super League here for 71 laps of racing. Thank you, everybody, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.